All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And I'm glad you're here with me here on Monday morning. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the prosperity pillar number 6, which is I create an attitude of abundance. But before we do that, let's do the quote of the day. The quote of the day is, "There is no limit on earnings," from Earl Nightingale. There's no limit on earnings. That's a great quote, goes really straight to the idea of an attitude of abundance. So let's talk about this for a minute. What do you feel like when you hear me say abundance? Because I think sometimes it can be a real kind of ambiguous type of word. But at the end of the day, I think abundance, really the most practical way to practice it is through your attitude. And, I want to talk to you a little bit today about just a classic book from Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, because I believe a positive mental attitude is truly a gateway to thinking abundantly. So for those of you that have not been familiar with the book, W. Clement Stone is someone who really talked a lot about positive mental attitude. His mentor was Napoleon Hill, and he had adopted this idea that whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve with a positive mental attitude. And so it was about 1960 that Stone teamed up with Napoleon Hill, and they wrote the book Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And the book is just a classic. I mean, you can get it pretty much anywhere online, but I believe that the power of positive thinking is really a huge key to really taking your life to the next level and creating a life that, is abundant and you're happier. So what is a positive mental attitude? You've probably heard that, thrown around, but what is a positive mental attitude? Well, I believe it's an attitude of optimism, happiness, resilience. It's really a filter that you place on your life, and it goes straight to this idea that if our thoughts shape our realities, then the philosophy of what you have in life will determine your attitude, and it will determine your thinking. And Think and Grow Rich, obviously Napoleon Hill, they talk a lot about the fact that your thoughts are going to create your life, and these thoughts shape your reality. So if your philosophy is to have a positive mental attitude about things happening in your life, you're going to see a lot of things happen. You're going to shape your thoughts, your actions, and your results in a way that will work towards helping you. So, the positive mental attitude is one part of it, but the attitude of abundance, I believe, goes even a step further. So what is an attitude of abundance? We know that the positive mental attitude is your philosophy, but what is an attitude of abundance? Well, I believe that it's thinking and knowing and believing that there's enough. And so many of us go throughout life without even realizing we have a scarcity mindset. And at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, do you believe that there's enough for you, with wealth and money and relationships and everything in life? Or do you believe that, you're only going to get a limited amount, that it's going to be difficult for you because other people are seeing success? See, it's this whole concept of scarcity versus abundant mindset, right? Scarcity versus abundance makes a huge, huge difference. So scarcity is, in my mind, a real manipulator. Trust me, I think scarcity can really manipulate your thoughts to keep you from having the success you want, because scarcity makes you feel like, things aren't going well for you. Scarcity makes you feel like you don't have a lot to offer. You don't have the confidence and self-esteem. How many of you have felt these kind of things about being scarce? And, for example, maybe you don't think that there's enough opportunities that come your way. Maybe you don't think there's enough time in the day. Maybe you don't think there's enough money at the end of the month, right? But this scarcity mindset is the thing that's shaping your reality. So it's so important that you pivot towards an abundant mindset. It's so important that you pivot towards the idea that, even though people are having success around you, there's plenty of success to go around. Even though businesses might be thriving around you, there are plenty of customers. There are plenty of opportunities for your business to grow. And the same goes for relationships. You've got to be able to create and decide to have an attitude of abundance if you're going to move forward in your life. It does not serve you to be able to have a scarcity mindset. So it's important that you really check yourself and identify where it is that your thought processes are going, because you can have a positive mental attitude, but you've got to have that attitude of abundance as well. So let's talk about maybe a couple of principles from the book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, that they talk about. One is a definiteness of purpose. a definiteness of purpose, because a lot of times your desire and your desire to have success in life and to be positive and be optimistic, if it's not channeled into a definiteness of purpose, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to realize that in your life. And so Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talks a lot about the power of a definiteness of purpose. The other thing that I would point out is that it's important to chase your passion and your talents, not just your profit. So a lot of times when you can create impact and you can create an area that in business, for example, or in life, that you're pursuing a passion, these are the type of things that will fuel your abundant thinking. When you're passionate about what you do, when you love what you do, that's why we talk about the idea of focusing on your unique talent, which is the thing you're excellent at, but also passionate about. When you focus on those things, then you're going to stay in that zone. You're going to stay in that area of abundant thinking. And another, important thing that I wanted to mention is that it's important to set realistic yet challenging goals. Of course, we need to push ourselves and challenge ourselves, but they've got to be realistic as well. You can't be, I've heard so many people kind of come and say, when I've been giving them advice or mentoring, that they want to make $1 million the next year, and they made maybe 50 grand the year before or 100 grand the year before. That's not realistic, and yet it is doable. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to set realistic yet challenging goals so that you can maintain that abundant thinking. There's nothing more frustrating, disappointing, or that will push you into a scarcity mindset than to have unrealistic goals that are very difficult to achieve, and you can't stack the wins, if you know what I'm saying there. So let me just give you a couple of strategies before we go here on how you can cultivate abundance, on how you can grow abundance, and how you can focus more and more on abundance. One, the most obvious and the one that is the most productive for me is gratitude practices. Having an attitude of gratitude. And gratitude is not just, putting down things you're grateful for. It's also about practicing gratitude. When you have an attitude of gratitude, you are expressing your gratitude to people. So if you're finding yourself in a scarcity mindset or you're finding yourself not in a positive state, write down the things that you're grateful for. An attitude of gratitude will clearly bust you out of that very quickly. Another practice or strategy you can use is visualization. Visualization is powerful, and very few people I see doing it nowadays. And the reason is because they don't feel like it's a productive use of their time. But visualization can help you to increase your attitude of abundance. When you visualize yourself having the things that you're looking to do, when you visualize yourself having success with your activities, when you visualize yourself winning, those are all things that will make a difference on your attitude and your attitude of abundance. Another thing is affirmations and positive self-talk. Look, sometimes it can be difficult in order to be positive when you're not seeing the wins. But there's a difference, because when you state the fact that you choose to believe in what you're trying to do, let me just kind of break that down for a second for you, just for a second. There's a big difference between faith and belief. Belief in abundance is generally going to be created after you have experiences that validate that. When you have a positive, abundant experience in your life, you're going to create new beliefs that reinforce abundance. Faith, however, that's something you can choose. Because if you choose to have faith, you may not have actually experienced it yet, but you can choose, and as a result, your actions and your results are going to be affected as well. And then you're going to turn those, setbacks into comebacks. Right? When you have faith, you're going to act despite your fears, and then you can take failures and setbacks and you can turn them into comebacks, and then you will validate the belief that you are growing over time. So, and I want to highlight that thought I just said a second ago. Learn to turn setbacks into comebacks. That is what you'll do when you have an abundant mindset. The other thing is learn to build resilience, because when you become a resilient person, because you're abundant thinking and you have a positive attitude, you're going to overcome adversities and you're going to build more abundance in your life, and you're going to prove to yourself that that's the case. And so it really is how you filter things in your life. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of a positive mental attitude and the attitude of abundance. And it's something that you create. It's not something that you were born with. I know that a lot of times I'll be around individuals that I think are just constantly happy. And, there are ups and downs in life, and it's more difficult for some than others to maintain that positive attitude. But it is truly a choice. It really is a strategy as well. So I want to encourage you this week, as you go throughout this week, to really think about, are you coming from a place of scarcity, or are you coming from a place of abundance? And if you want to have something to be able to follow up on, maybe a little actionable step after this episode, I'd love you to sit down and make a list of things you're grateful for. Make a list of things you're grateful for that will start to bolster up that attitude of gratitude. And go throughout your week trying to find ways that you can change the filter or perspective you have on situations that are maybe happening to you, and deciding that maybe they're happening for you. That's my message for today. I hope you have an amazing week. Do me a favor and share this show. Share this episode. In fact, tag me in it if you want, at the Daily Mastermind on Facebook or Instagram, TikTok or YouTube, the Daily Mastermind. And I look forward to talking with you more. I'd really love to hear what you're working on. And so go hit me up online and DM me. Let me know what you're working on. What can I do to help you? That's my message for this week. I'll look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. Once again, this has been the Daily Mastermind. Have a great day.